I'm Siri.
And I'm Daniel Blumberg.
We are flying from Gainesville, Florida to Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes, and this is the first leg of our Viking cruise that we're going to be taking. So from Atlanta, we'll be flying to Paris, France, and then from Paris, France, we'll be flying over to Munich, Germany, before we get over onto the Viking cruise over in Regensberg.
All right, follow us, and this is, again, we are from Gainesville, Florida. We have one small airport here.
All right.
All right, follow us. Bye.
First step.
All right, so I'm going to give some commentary as the pictures go by. Took pictures while we were at the airports and all through our trip. So this is some pictures of Siri while we're over at Gainesville Airport. We flew out Delta from Gainesville. So where are we?
Atlanta.
I can't hear you. Where are we?
Atlanta, Georgia.
Where are we in Atlanta?
We just arrived. We are going to Paris. Wish us luck. It's gonna be cold.
Me too. Okay, we'll get more later. So in Atlanta, we had a little bit of time to get some food. We stopped over while we're in the airport at Nature's Bistro. You got to listen to a little bit of jazz. This is some of their food. The jazz musician actually got his meal from Nature's Bistro as well. So it was nice to see the local getting food from there. Now, this is food from the Delta flight going from Atlanta over to France. So, and then we've now arrived
Prochain
in
arrêt,
France
sortie,
itself.
livraison bagages, correspondance vers Terminal 2E, Porte K et Terminal 2F. Assurez-vous de ne pas oublier vos bagages.
Next stop, baggage delivery exit. Transfer to Terminal 2E, Gate K and Terminal 2F. Please ensure that you have all of your...
So we were on a little tram, electric tram at that point. This is our welcome to France. So we've got a nice little sign there as we came into the French Charles de Gaulle.
Hi there from Paris, France. We are on the tram heading over to Concourse Gate 2F.
Right, and I actually recorded this from the Skyway, looking out there was a plane. This was some really awesome architecture they have in the airport. So it's kind of glass outer shell. You'll see that later. I actually talk a little bit in one of the clips about it. But like this concrete interior facade with these rectangular windows was really cool for letting the light into the actual thoroughfare.
So I mentioned the architecture here is actually just really cool to see this in action. So you can see the superstructure going all the way down. I'm going to zoom in. And then it curves when you get down there to follow the contour of the building. And as you come back over this way, you can actually see concrete superstructure I mentioned. And foot-thick concrete causing all of these really cool windows looking out. Back out so you can see it better. And this goes up the whole side of the building.
This is boarding to get onto the flight heading over to Munich, Germany. Now, this is very interesting. It actually is a play on eat an apple a day, keep the doctor away. The truck says eat a croissant a day, keep the doctor away.
See the outside? It's a beautiful day today, about 9 degrees Celsius. All right, guys, have a good day. Take care. Bye bye.
Some gorgeous shots from inside the airplane too of the sky, the clouds below, and some of the really high altitude clouds above us as well, off in the distance. We had another really nice shot of the cloud deck below the plane as we were flying.
All right, so we have arrived in Munich, Germany after 3 flights from Gainesville to Atlanta,
To Paris.
Paris to Munich.
Yeah, long flight from Paris. No, not that long. I mean, Atlanta to Paris is such a long flight.
It was a long flight, but they had a dinner meal for us. They had a breakfast for us, so that was nice.
I miss breakfast, but it's all good.
And we've met our Viking cruise leader at the moment. They're going to get a shuttle bus for us to take us to Regensberg. And we also met Georgia and Elpida from Canada. They're going to be on our cruise also.
Yes, let's update that the flight from Paris to Munich only 2 hours, which is wonderful.
Yes, and I've got you can't see it too well, but I got my little Viking badge. We both have our Viking badges.
Okay.
So we're ready to get to our ship.
All right. Yeah. So Viking was fantastic. They came the moment we got out of the luggage pickup. They were right there. They saw our Viking badges. They picked us up with a bus. The majority of the passengers had already been picked up and taken to Regensburg by bus. It was just the 6 of us on this bus heading out to Regensburg, Germany, from Munich by bus. And it was maybe about a 40-minute ride. This was our first view of the Viking V. This was our ship and our respite while we explored the Danube River.
Hello, good. We're going that way and down. Oh, we're going to go checked in this way.
The voice you heard there, that was David, very knowledgeable gentleman. He was the person in charge, basically, of making sure that everyone was able to attend all of the events and tours that they planned to attend while they were on the cruise. And this was a wonderful couple that we met, both artists, and our first meal on board. So we got to the cruise. Dinner had started about an hour before we got there. We were the last passengers to arrive because of the way the flights worked out. So we got to sit down and have our first of many, many wonderful meals on the ship. You're going to see a lot of food during the course of these videos. was
Good
some
morning.
Good
operatic singing
morning.
that we
This
were able
is
to see house.
Regensberg behind us. We're in our cruise chamber for our cruise ship on the Viking VE is the name of the ship, and we're on the Danube River. You can see that flowing behind us. We got some nice. Where are you going?
Just look at the river.
Turn around to look at the river. Don't sink down. You're not sinking into the river. Anyway,
Just teasing each other.
some light fun this morning.
Good morning. I'm Siri, by the way,
Yes,
and
and I am Daniel Blumberg. We're out here in Germany, Regensburg, this morning for our first day of this cruise. And actually, to start the day off in about 10 minutes, we're going to go on a walking tour of the historic Jewish quarters of Regensburg, Germany. So looking forward to being able to do that, learn some of the local history. Last night we had at least I had the authentic German dinner. It was a cheese spinach ravioli, which was really good, with some turnip soup, also very good,
everything's so
with
good.
an apricot pastry dessert, which was delicious. I've never had an apricot that sweet before. What did you have?
Oh, I know you're gonna ask. I'm not even remember the name, but it's got shrimp and rice,
Shrimp and rice.
and also trout
Okay, and
for appetizer with beets.
okay, and what was your wine recommendation to go with it?
The name of the wine, I do not know the name, guys. Don't ask me.
Just what type of wine?
But I love white wine.
White wine. Okay.
And we met a couple that they are joining us for dinner, and oh my goodness, they are artists. This is what they give.
Show-
Bob is the artist who paints.
Let
Let me show
Yeah, show to the camera.
to the camera.
That's upside
the mushroom
Can show the other side.
and the other side.
Good thing is they're rocks, so if they fall, it's okay. The other side
Is it hugs
says hugs from
Canada?
So he finds these rocks and then paints them in acrylic
And also, this is the second one.
and made
the
a
broken
butterfly
for Daniel.
that
This
also
is
says
butterfly.
hugs from Canada on it.
And also here, they
So
are husband and wife.
very sweet couple.
Bob and
Cheryl.
Cheryl. Oh, thank you, Bob and Cheryl, for this. We treasure them.
Yeah, so very, very sweet people.
And we met them for breakfast as well.
Yeah,
This
and
is-
so who else did we meet this morning for the first time?
Oh my goodness, from
Arizona. Mm-hmm.
Charles and
Shelley?
Shelley.
Yes.
Yay! Yeah.
So we're meeting people on the cruise, very friendly people. Definitely looking forward to the rest of the cruise, and we'll be giving updates as our adventure
Hold
continues.
on. Yesterday, the sisters
Yes.
and
Georgia.
and you told me.
I
name
did tell you this
this
morning.
but
I
they are
believe
such
her name is Epidel, but I don't believe that is actually totally correct. She had a very unique name. I will get it from her again so that I can tell you what the name
We
is. But it's a very
apologize.
unique name. But very, very
Oh,
sweet
very
sisters from
sisters
Canada.
From Canada.
Yeah.
too.
And Bob and Cheryl are both also from Canada. A lot of Canadians on the cruise.
And wow.
And for those out there, happy Thanksgiving to you guys. Coming up.
That's right. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. And
Yeah.
happy Thanksgiving.
All right. So what's for breakfast?
I might even know. It looks like oatmeal, but it's cold. In German, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's really good. Okay.
And then we got some scrambled eggs, some spinach, and some potatoes, and a muffin. We got blueberry pancakes on the way.
Blueberry pancakes were delicious. They made uh, round blueberry pancakes, good number of blueberries in them, maple syrup, some fresh fruit that could be added to them. I really enjoyed it. The cold cereal was more like a cold oats with some very thinly sliced apples in there. It was very good. So this is some of the first pictures that we took looking outside from the outside of the ship of the Danube River and start seeing some of the architecture. So we started walking around. Um, very, I like this town. This town actually is very close in population to the city of Gainesville, Florida, which is where we're from. Gainesville, Florida is a university town, about 150,000 people. Um, you can actually see Coco with the two women that we met from the first night going to the cruise, which was Georgia and her sister. Um, very wonderful women to have met. But anyway, as I mentioned, so Regensburg and Gainesville have basically the same population, about 150,000 or so each. Regensburg is also a university town. A nice metro service. They've got fantastic infrastructure. Uh, the buildings are just really cool. And you're going to see a bunch of the pictures as we go through this. We'll get to some more audio shortly that we recorded. You'll also notice at the audio, some of our clips, we address people as though they've only watched that clip and not this entire video in its entirety. So there will be some audio that's be like that where we will be reintroducing ourselves. And some of the audio you're hearing here is just us walking around while I was recording, or Siri was recording. So we are actually with our first tour guide. Really good tour guide, gave a lot of really good details on the history of the area, gave very informative stories. Um, when he gives some of his stories, I am going to cut some of them out because I did.
Check out or back to the bit?
Check out.
Thank you for the shopping. Alright guys, let's get everybody together and let's form a nice little group. Let's get everybody in. So the other groups. And now looking at the
So this section, the reason we're stopped is our tour guide is telling us the story of this bridge, and I'm going to recap it. So the story of this bridge is basically back in the Middle Ages, while this bridge was being built, so too was that church. And you can see the steeple on the church in the distance. It's that orange steeple. And that church was being built. And the builder of the bridge was in a race to complete the bridge prior to the church being completed. And this was going on for a number of years, but it looked like to the bridge builder that the church was going to be built first and completed first. So the bridge builder was approached by the devil. And the devil said, I will make sure that you win this race and your bridge will be built first prior to the church. And the bridge builder who really wanted this bridge built prior to the church was tempted. But the bridge builder basically asked what cost. Well, it turns out the costs from the devil was the first 3 souls to cross the bridge would be claimed by the devil. So the bridge builder's like, well, that's down the road. That'll be a couple of years out. I'm not all that concerned by it. It's not going to be me. So, I'm going to win the race. So he agrees. And lo and behold, the bridge is completed before the church is. The mayor, wanting to celebrate this fantastic bridge across this mighty Danube River, invited, and this was an invitation that couldn't be refused, the bridge builder himself and the head of the church, I believe the head of the church, to be the first 3 to walk across the bridge to celebrate its opening. And the bridge builder had a problem because he realized that he had made a deal with the devil, and the first 3 to cross the bridge were going to be claimed by the devil for their souls. And he didn't want that to be him. So he thought about what to do. And in the end, he shows up at the bridge and he brings with him his dog and a couple of chickens. And you might be able to guess where this went. So he had the dog chase the 2 chickens across the bridge. The devil took their 3 souls. They were not the souls the devil wanted. The devil was basically outraged, but at that point there was nothing that he could do. But obviously the devil wants something. He's going to get it at some point, but not today. So that is probably a slightly butchered version of the story. The tour guide does a much better job telling the story, but I wanted to relay that story to you because it was quite interesting. And honestly, this bridge is a marvel. It's been here for hundreds and hundreds of years. It is made out of stone. It is not like our steel beam bridges with concrete on them that you've got to repaint and constantly maintain. This bridge it's literally made out of stone. Solid bridge. It's been there, it's weathered floods, and it is still there. So just marvels of architecture of what the scientists back in the day, the scientists and engineers back in the day were able to accomplish with the materials that they had at hand. No computers, no internet. The knowledge is what they learned from handwritten books. I believe this was probably before the printing press was done. Was when these were built. So very, very interesting architectural wonders. This was the first of many that we got to see. Um, the first of 2, and we'll get to that a little bit later on this section of the trip that you'll be able to see. The first being this bridge. The second being you actually can see part of it, but I'll leave that as a surprise for just a little bit later in this recording, where you get to see another historical building. It's actually UNESCO World Heritage Building as well, so very cool when we get to that. But it was really cool hearing him tell the story. I definitely recommend checking it out in person. The tour guy is going to do a really good job with telling the stories and being able to relay the history behind things. I did like seeing their bus system. In Europe, they have a lot of these double length buses with basically the gap insert between the two. So basically, it's one bus pulling a second length. So it actually really does add the mass into mass transit. You can see that bus driving off right there. I also really love these buildings. When I mentioned the same population as Gainesville, they have much denser overall population than Gainesville does. Gainesville is really a sprawling city. Regensburg, from what we saw, was not nearly as sprawling as Gainesville is. And by the way, if you're curious, the name of the bridge, it is the Stone Bridge. Um, so they definitely named it after what it is there. Over the course of the videos, we actually did use a number of cameras. My wife was using an iPhone 16. Oh, this is actually really cool. This is a model of the city. Regensburg with the bridge over the Danube, followed by the other side, Regensburg. And this actually, Regensburg actually is the confluence of two rivers, the Danube and I believe it was the Id River combined here. You can actually see the different colorations of the two rivers as they join.
Eventually to the Rhine, to the west of Germany, to Cologne, and then he could sail all the way up to Amsterdam.
Oh, but as I was saying, we had a number of different phones that we were using, or cameras. So I had a little iPhone SE2. I used that one for image stabilization gimbal that I have. Fits on there pretty easy. Lets me get some nice stabilized shots. Not the most amazing of videos when used for that, but effective. Much better video quality. This is where you're seeing a number of different layouts within the frame of this. My wife is using the iPhone 16 Pro. I'm using the iPhone 16 Pro Max, both excellent camera systems, both the exact same camera system. The Max just has a slightly, if you're unaware, Max just has a slightly bigger display. And then I also was using Ray-Ban Meta glasses. So a lot of the vertical shots, like this one, I believe I recorded with the Ray-Ban Meta glasses. Look at that. This was one of the iPhones. Ray-Bans, you don't get to zoom in and out, but Ray-Ban does do the vertical format, which is pretty cool. And I did this. The reason I set this video format up at this size, was so that it could capture all of the other formats within it without having to lose resolution for what they were able to record at. So there will be sections of this that are going to be this vertical format. There'll be sections with pictures that are your wider format. There will be videos that are wider format. But this way, everything can be captured completely through the camera system. Regensburg, by the way, has a massive number of boutiques, mom and pop shops, art shops, all through the city. A large number of bakeries as well. Some amazing baked goods that they had there. Lots of coffee shops. So definitely a very friendly tourist town. This was
Coco.
a church.
Coco. Turn around.
So
Coco.
very interesting story behind this church. The tour guide told me. Basically, it was made with two different primary types of material. First, which when it was originally started, was stone, very similar to the stone bridge. But as they were building it, time went by,
Because what
they
we're
ran
looking
out
at
of money,
right here is
so they didn't
the
finish
western
it
facade of
with the same
our
stone they started it with. So
And
in the
what we
end,
decided
they ended up
we're gonna
doing
build it in the 1200s.
basically a concrete type for the upper part of this building. Now, the problem with that is that
And this
upper
building
stone
really emphasizes that because basically
did
you want
not
to
have the
build
same durability as the rest of the building did. And so what ends up
huge
happening
monumental
is that
construction
some of
that
that starts to
overlooks the
deteriorate.
city and with its Gothic architecture
So
attracts the
they're
people
constantly
from
under
anywhere around the
to
coming
my
here to
understanding.
our town.
I believe
And
I'm
let's face
getting the
it,
story of this one correct.
Job with that.
Um,
The catch is, if you're looking at it right now, you got quite a bit of scaffolding over
like you said,
on the left.
the tour guide just said you mentioned a lot of the
And the irony
scaffolding
of
that
the
is there.
scaffolding is that it's not there because we started the cathedral in the 1200s. The scaffolding is there because we couldn't finish the damn thing. Because at the beginning we had all the money.
So he's actually
we
not
could get
the
the
beginning. They had
materials,
lots of
we could
money,
get the workers, not a
but
problem.
they ran out of
But
money.
remember, and with the
so
Middle Ages, Turks
they
attacking
had
Europe,
issues with
trading
being able
routes
to
being blocked.
complete the actual
And we got about, let's say,
building.
halfway through.
And so
in the
it was
sense of
delayed,
that,
which
we got
led
about
to
as high
problems
as
finishing
no
it,
provisional bridges
which led
connected
to
to
different types of
and
material
dams.
being used. And so
And
it
we
was
just
just
put a
having
small
trouble
flat
getting
roof
completed.
top of it, no spires. We called it a day and thought, well, you know what, somebody someday will come along and pay for the rest of it. And but the king of Bavaria himself. King Ludwig came along, a couple of years later, but he did, in the 1800s, and he offered us to pay for the spires. And let's be honest, if the king comes along and offers you that deal, what are you going to take? The catch is, he didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on this construction. And therefore he said, okay,
Yeah, so the tour guide has confirmed what I was saying.
Let's make it modern. And therefore,
the
please do
building,
not use
they
any
ran out of money.
old materials you see down here.
And
So,
eventually the king came forward that he would help pay for the remainder of the spires,
I
which
want
is the tall
something quick,
pieces.
modern, and cheap.
But he didn't want it to be as fancy
150
as the
years,
rest.
160 years ago.
And so
What do you
he
think?
also used cheaper
What
materials,
did they use up there? for
which
the
led
spires?
to
Think
it
about
being
quick, modern,
constantly having to
Concrete.
be repaired and
Concrete.
be refinished over time. Another interesting thing about all these cathedrals that I've been going to,
And let's be honest, it's not
the ones on this trip,
necessarily suspected
when we
to
went
be
to
so it serves its purpose quite well.
some other locations that
problem is,
had really fancy
And
sculptures
it's
built into
150
them.
years old, meaning
You notice a lot of them
crumbling,
now have
and all the
wire
iron starts
mesh
rusting, and the water in the winter
blocking
freezes up there, expands, and lots of these
the
little ornaments and statues have the tendency
sculptures.
of there
And I said to myself, what are they
falling
blocking?
off.
They're blocking it from
and
birds.
we never know when.
They're blocking it so the birds can't get up there and build nests
Massive amount of scaffolding down
on
here,
top
so
of
we
these, because
safe
I'm
and
assuming they
get
don't
it.
want the birds
They're working in it,
excrement
and they don't feel bad that
all
you don't
over
see
their
the cathedral in
sculptures.
its whole beauty.
So it was
Us
interesting to
living
see
in
so
town,
many of these with the wire
we've
meshes to
yet.
prevent the birds from getting
There's
in
only
there.
been one event in the past decades with no scaffolding around the cathedral, and that was when the former Pope Benedict visited Regensberg because he grew up in a small village close by. He used to be vice president of our uni. His brother was head of the children's choir, sort of him visiting his hometown. Everything has to look bright and shiny. And so what do we do? Scaffolding on, Pope in, Pope back out, scaffolding back in place.
Oh my god.
Easy 5-day job, and it was literally 1 week. It
Oh
was
my
all
God.
back to
Wow. Wow.
well, they're working on it, and some of those got replaced already. And yeah, well, they fall down. It's nothing.
Here, that happened?
Well, probably on this square, you'll definitely hear it.
No, were you here? Were you living here at
I
that
don't
time?
want to sit next
was
to
it
him
here?
at
Was it
supper,
the Pope?
okay?
Yes,
No.
yes, when the
No.
Pope was here.
I only saw the pictures of friends of mine, so I only came here in 2011. in 2013, of course, and the Pope was here in 2006. And so I have never seen the cathedral without the scaffolding, but I spoke to the master builder, and apparently in 2 years' time, that scaffolding will be gone, and they're going to move to the other town.
The other side. I was going to say.
But the good news for you guys is you can see the entrance door is right over there. It's free of charge to go in there from the inside. There is no construction site, and since we didn't get bombed and destroyed, we still got the original hand-painted, tinted windows in there from the 1200s. And the easiest thing is, since we're going to end the tour later on, right over here, just after the tour,
Walk right
have a
in.
quick look inside on your own, and then explore the city later on, because I can't take you in there. It's still an active church and cathedral there. Tour guides talk to us. Is the western facade of our holy cathedral. And when we decided we're going to build this one in the 1200s, we had so much money, we didn't know what to spend it on. And this building really emphasizes that, because basically we wanted to build the skyscraper of the Middle Ages. A huge monumental construction that overlooks the city and with its Gothic architecture attracts the people from anywhere around them coming here to our town. And let's face it, they did a pretty fine job with that. The catch is, if you're looking at it right now, you got quite a bit of scaffolding over on the left-hand side. And the irony of the scaffolding is that it's not there because we started the cathedral in the 1200s. The scaffolding is there because we couldn't finish the damn thing in the Middle Ages. Because in the beginning we had all the money, so we could get the materials, we could get the workers, not a problem. But remember, end of the Middle Ages, Turks attacking Europe, trading routes being blocked, we ran out of money. And we got about, let's say, halfway through. In the sense of that, we got about as high as that small provisional bridge is connecting the two towers, and that was it. Well, there's a small service daily, to be fair. Oh my God. And then the bigger service every Sunday. And that ornament is called the Jewish swan.
So the guy actually just talked about here in the church where that kid has people suckling his teeth. And those people were supposed to be Jews because this church was, at the time it was built, Christianity at the time, basically viewed Jewish people as below God, below being people, effectively. And so that's why that was depicted in the church.
To symbolize evil, and it's you're associated with the devil. Society in the Middle Ages revolved around the Catholic Church, revolved around the idea of life and you can only do so if you, first and foremost, you're a Catholic. Meaning everybody who isn't a Catholic isn't part of society, is excluded, and therefore the Jews were as well. And the daily, to be fair. And a bigger service every Sunday, and obviously a Christmas. So we come all the way to go back to the sidewalk a little bit, and anything bad, evil should be in the way from the cathedral. You can see it sort of with the gargoyles, like these creepy animal figures on top of us, basically just being water fountains, but all that should go away. And therefore they had, they placed this ornament here. And to be fair, in the Middle Ages, some of those ornaments would have even been found on the outside of the farmhouses. decided, well, we're gonna keep this element right here, and we're gonna add a plaque down, and with a plaque explaining the history behind the story behind it. We did learn about, and hopefully do not make the same mistake again. As we all know, history has a tendency to repeat itself. And the irony of this is though that actually in Regensburg we have quite a large Jewish community. In the Middle Ages, close to 500 Jews living and working here and actually working together quite closely. And well, we'll find out more about it.
So, apothecaries or drugstores are mom and pop shops in Germany, and that was one of them. And then this was the first Christmas market that we were walking up to. Now, you're seeing the lights flashing. Those are LED lights. They were not actually strobing to our eyes, but apparently the cameras were actually picking up some of those strobing. So just so you know, the lights weren't failing. They looked perfectly fine in person. Also, we were there early, and the Christmas markets had just opened up. Um, so it was really nice to be able to get there. There are later Christmas markets that we went to that were packed with people. Also, you notice the pavers here in this town. Just fantastic. Smooth, well placed. It's not asphalt. It's not crumbling. Um, just really nice area that they have here that the vendors were able to set up on. Really nice open area. Yeah, so this tour that we did with this tour guide was the Jewish quarters tour. Um, and this whole really nice square that I just mentioned that's gorgeous. This used to be the Jewish quarters in Regensburg before all the Jewish people were uh, put together, concentrated, taken to camps, and murdered during World War II. Um, the outline, that raised section, that was where their synagogue used to be. The raised cylinders were where their actual poles were that supported the roof. Um, there's no Jewish synagogue there in that square anymore. There's no Jewish quarter there. They lost a large chunk of their population. I say lost. A large chunk of their population was murdered because that's what happened. And now there's a Christmas market where the Jewish quarter used to be, which is a very strange juxtaposition to have that. So he's also talking about during Effectively, the Middle Ages, the Jewish people served as the bankers. You would have bank notes that if you needed money in a different city, it was very dangerous to travel the roads between cities. You could get robbed or whatnot. You could have a letter from one of the Jewish bankers, effectively, that said to the next city's Jews, the bearer of this letter uh, is entitled to X amount of money paid for by that person in the previous town. So this way they could travel between locations without having to worry about getting their money stolen with just a piece of paper, instead of having to carry, a lockbox with silver or gold coins in it. Also, all of the disasters were blamed on the Jews. Even then, not so much blamed on. I'm going to avoid politics during this video, but back then, all the natural disasters were blamed on the Jews. So we continued walking. That was a church in the distance. Nice building. It's actually right behind the winter market. I was sporting my very stylish hat. Whether it's rainy, sunny, just about any weather, you'll find me wearing that hat or a hat similar to it.
And I mean, you see it still nowadays because sort of looking at the buildings, looking at the pavement, it doesn't look all too medieval. Well, back in the day, you can imagine it as many, many different houses connected to each other, small little alleyways winding through, and sort of even the back walls of the houses sort of forming its own little city wall, like a small city within a city with their own and basically living somewhat separate in terms of.
All right, so a number of pictures. These are some of the alleyways. Really cool seeing the buildings in here. Now, one of the things to note, and it's talked about in both Regensburg, Passau, uh, Vienna, and Budapest, all of these cities are along the Danube River. By the way, this was a DHL tricycle delivery. I absolutely love seeing that. That was fantastic. Um, but they're all along the Danube River, and because of climate change, the likelihood of massive flooding has gotten much higher. And so they have had really high floods in the last few years on the Danube River, as well as droughts. Likely this will continue. The rivers are snow-fed from the Alps, effectively, and as global warming continues, ice melt and snow melt will happen very quickly, losing a lot of water very fast. So there's a lot of flooding that happens in these cities. They are used to the flooding, but it's something that they have to continue to deal with almost on a year-to-year basis at this point.
How many options? How much? 50 university students. 50 bedrooms, 50 bathrooms, kitchens, communal rooms, staircases, shops. So you can imagine how many space. They many possibilities. How many options? How much money they had back in the day? Just
so the tour guide here is talking about this really cool building. It's owned by one family, and the spire basically was their Lamborghini of the times. I've got a really cool car of the times, based on how big the spire was. But the spires generally had nothing in them. He did mention that building now is being used by the state for university housing, and they pay very, €200 or so a month in rent, which is basically nothing while they're there doing their studies, which is just amazing. And this is just an alleyway that goes between an area of town. Again, fantastic pavers that are there. Don't have to worry about walking in mud or broken concrete or broken asphalt. These pavers are stone. They will hold up through just about anything.
Guys, at the end of this alleyway is a public restroom, public WC,
And
which is free of charge.
in Europe,
If you want to use that, you'll see any hands, any arms, anybody waving.
You have to pay to use it. Here, this one location had free, publicly usable water closets that didn't cost money, so that was a big deal. So some of the architecture here is just really cool. I liked these arches, a lot of arches that you'll see throughout these pictures and videos of locations, uh, very much in churches, but normal areas as well have a number of arches.
And definitely you couldn't get them anywhere, and therefore the book collection we did. They built
A lot of really cool sculptures on the buildings. This is just one of them. They have their holiday lights up. Also really cool. Didn't get a chance to walk around this area at night, but could just imagine what it would look like with all the stars, Christmas stars and lights. Did walk around some of the areas at night, not this particular area.
With names that might ring a bell. Schindler and
And this is where the Schindler from Schindler's List lived for a time. The actual um, this is where he moved to after he moved out of the helping the Jews. So he was here for a while before he moved on. The Jews, after he saved them, they turned around and saved him and effectively provided him funding so he could live the rest of his life, because he was not very great of a businessman when he didn't have slave labor, but the Jewish people that worked under him that survived because of his efforts at the end were thankful enough that they were willing to help him survive throughout the rest of his life, which was quite interesting to hear that story.
Did quite a bit to help Jewish workers in terms of providing additional food and drinks, water and supplies for them, so they had somewhat decent living.
So you can see some more of the architecture here, hiding behind the two trees. Uh, on our trip, it was between 0 and 6 degrees Celsius, so that was just at freezing up to about 44, 46 degrees Fahrenheit. On some of the days, it was actually warmer on our trip in Europe than it was back in Florida. And these are some what they call stumbling stones. Basically, that stone is the name of someone that died during the Holocaust, I believe is what they've done. So basically, they've memorialized some of the stones throughout the city. I mentioned arches inside the churches. This is a church that we went into. You can see the arched ceiling. It's very cool seeing this. And this is just one of many of the examples we're going to be able to see over the course of this trip. And also their organ in the back. Uh, did not get to hear it play. Would be very interesting and cool to hear it. But a very nice church on the inside. Very well thought out. Stained glass, let the light in. Just it's gorgeous to see, and at least to my mind, to see some of this amazing old architecture that is still fully functional and in use. How in Regensburg was one of the few cities that was not bombed by the Allies really during World War II. They had a couple bombs dropped, but overall the city made it through without taking serious damage during the war. This is a merry-go-round that was running. There's little kids.
Got your
Some
croissant?
amazing bakeries that they had. Just so many fantastic looking baked goods they had there. I mentioned I'm a fan of architecture, so I really did like seeing so many of these buildings throughout the city. And they're all unique. They're not cookie cutter, which is a lot of what you see nowadays in the US.
Would you like to know something? My toes are getting cold, even in my boots.
Same here.
Same here.
This was another church we ended up going by. Just to see the size of the door. And then again, so many arches inside churches and buildings themselves. Just very cool to see it. Giant door knockers.
Daniel, where are we going?
Going to the river. Mighty Mississippi. Oh no, the Danube, not the Mississippi.
See, already lost. Look,
Lots of S's.
very nice color. My favorite. Is this a home or part of the uni?
So we did actually get a little bit lost while walking around. We did get to the Danube eventually. You'll see that. But we did walk through part of their university section, and we did find some cool buildings with some cool texts. Hello, Regensberg. Um, and that's just one. And then this was the Blumberg building. Not Blumberg with a U, but Blumberg with an O. So close. And then absolutely amazing. It was so cold there, and yet they had so many windowsills filled with such fantastic plants. I had no idea that there were that many cold hardy plants around.
Sorry, boo
The
boo.
pigeons aren't going to catch it in the air. The gulls will.
Let him try.
So we bought a fantastic pretzel, massive pretzel,
What are you gonna do?
and we're back by the Danube,
Sorry, boo
You
boo.
got it.
and we're tearing little pieces off of this pretzel and throwing it to these gulls, or whatever the types of bird are, some sort of gulls.
You got it. You did get it on the
And
way
they're
down.
circling around and they're catching it in midair.
Ooh.
The
You
ones that
tried.
missed landed down with the ducks, and the ducks got it. But we were there. It was one of the highlights of the day, actually walking around and having the birds literally flying in circles to catch the pieces of pretzel we were feeding them.
Holy scheiße.
Das ist vom Jahr.
So much so, some locals stopped by while we were doing that, and they had brought some bread too, and they started feeding the birds also. We ran out of our pretzel, and they gave us some of their bread to continue feeding them. So we did that for a little while, and it was a lot of fun.
You got no.
Ich hab dir das auch gesagt, geh mit dem Dosal zurück. Eben, siehst du, jetzt versteht die Tatsache. Bitte, bitte. Ich will mit dir befreundet sein. Ja, aber nichts passiert, verstehst du? Dann wollte ich einfach mal das beenden, das ist auch.
I told you they're literally flying in circles because they're waiting for you to throw food up to them to catch it.
Und Geld brauchst du gar nicht. Gras hast du Tabak, bist du doch glücklich. Ja, das ist es. Ja, das ist es.
You gotta wait for them to be in. Coco, look to your left and see when they're coming, and then you throw it to them. The pigeons got startled and flew off.
Nein, Sigi, echt immer. Das ist so geil. Der ist so geil, wie diese Welt ist.
Coco, one at a time so they come up.
So then we continued walking along the river a little bit, so we got back towards the ship. But just some fantastic areas here. So the river was at its normal levels. It was not flooding while we were there. Um, the water was going. Can tell you, I did not stick my hand in the water, but I'm sure the water was very cold, as it was very cold out, and the water was coming from literally mountain snow up in the mountains. So it's not like it was warming up along the way. Um, but this is the stone bridge. We're walking up to it here. We're actually going to walk, I believe, underneath it as we're heading back to the ship for taking a little lunch respite before going back out later in the evening. But the bridge is really cool. There was actually, I heard later from Georgia and Alpita, that was her sister's name. Uh, they were walking back in the evening and they saw a gentleman propose to his fiancee on the bridge. And well, none of them there spoke German, or well, George and Alpita didn't speak German, but pretty sure based on the positive response that was given and relayed that the woman accepted. Anyway, I'm sure a lot of proposals have been done there. This was some, like I said, some really cool photos of the bridge itself. You can actually see the stones that comprise the underside of the bridge. So we got some nice shots while we were walking back to the ship. Michigan University, this is one of, I think, the colleges, college buildings for the university itself. So back on the ship, mentioned a brief little respite. We got some drinks, got to sit down and relax for a little bit before we went back out again. We also got some warmer clothes. We thought we dressed well. We did not. We had plenty of warm clothes with us. We did not layer up appropriately. We were both fairly chilly the time we got back, so it was nice to get back to the ship to warm up for a little bit on this first full day. And of course, take really cool pictures. All right, then we go to evening. And sunset was so strange. So we live over in Gainesville, Florida. Sunset here, generally 5:30. Over there, sunset was happening right before 4 o'clock ish, is when sunset really started going down quickly. So it got dark so much earlier as you're further north than Gainesville
What is
is.
this river again?
Danube River.
Beautiful. We are in Regensberg, and this time is around 4:30, and the weather is about 4 Fahrenheit.
No.
No, sorry, 4
5
Celsius. 5
Celsius.
Celsius. I apologize. 5
4
Celsius.
Fahrenheit, the ice will be coming off of our nose and our eyes will be
Gotcha.
frozen solid.
Got it.
So you can see we dress much more warmly for the evening, both wearing our little caps. Those are actually hand knitted by a neighbor that moved away a few years ago, but we bought a number of them off of her while she was doing her garage sales. And this is pictures from on top of the stone bridge. Gorgeous bridge. Like so, we went underneath it. You guys see some of the pictures there. We went over it. Just fantastic. And a really nice view from the bridge itself of the Danube.
Yeah. And the puppy walked away.
So this is the stone bridge. There's actually a church right immediately on the other side of the stone bridge as we walked across. And in the church's courtyard was a winter market. So we went over there to check out that winter market this evening. We did get some really nice pictures while we were over uh, at the winter market. It was really nice there. It did start to get busy, but that was fine. They had a fire pit going, which was really nice. Helped warm us up. They had a nice light display showing as you walked up to the church itself. You get to see all that as we go through these videos.
Jetzt am Abend voll vergessen, ehrlich gesagt.
Was vergessen?
Ja.
Coco, your light's on. Turn your light off.
They actually have this really cool wall piece that you can stand in front of. You see this here of angel wings, effectively, which was really nice. People go and stand there and take pictures. Well lit up. It's just a really nice piece for the church for people to be able to take part of. They also had lambs that people could pet. That's the fire pit that I mentioned that they had. It was very nice to be there because it was getting quite cool. So having that was nice to warm up by.
Hello from Regensberg, Germany.
Hi, we are here over at a winter market.
All right, let's take a look around. But we are at the warm spots. Look. Nice and warm. And we are happy. That's the most important, right?
That's true, and you're warm on the inside too.
If anything that you can do to make yourself happy, please do, because we have only one life to live.
Very true.
Have a good day and happy Thanksgiving.
Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Hi, we are here over at a winter market.
We are at a warm spot. Look. It's quite nice and warm. And we are happy. That's the most important. Right?
That's true. And you're warm on the inside too.
We're so happy. Please do because we have a lot of life.
Very true. Very true.
Good day and happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye. It is an imposing building.
So this is us walking back over
here
the stone bridge.
Over here is beautiful. And the river, Danube River. Bicyclists everywhere. Hi.
So I mentioned the UNESCO World Heritage Site, and this building was it. This is the second of the two. Very, very cool building. It's built back in the 1500s. The wood used in its construction was over 500 years old. Just absolutely amazing. That one beam was over 80 feet long and came from a single tree and is over 1,000 years old at this point. It is salt infused because they used to store salt in this building as a salt warehouse. They were a large salt distributor. And so basically it's petrified wood. Just absolutely amazing. It's fantastic to see that UNESCO, or basically the UN, has recognized this as a World Heritage
So in
Site.
the UNESCO World Heritage Site, let's turn it over. The UNESCO World Heritage Site, I find Coco. This is a model of the building. And this is what Regensberg was like back in the day when this was built. Go around here. Just look through there. These are the Danube historical ships. They had no engines because they were pulled by horses and donkeys. This is an entry about a business transaction. It was crossed out after payments. About 10 pounds of spices of saffron. And then in here is the model of the city. View from above. That's really cool.
1000 bis 1250. Handelsmetropole und freie Reichsstadt. Mit der Stadterweiterung um 920 war die vor den Lagermauern gelegene Siedlung der Kaufleute an das Stadtzentrum angebunden worden. Neben dieser Neustadt gab es im 11. Jahrhundert unterschiedliche Viertel und Quartiere in Regensburg, die Gebiete, die dem Herzog, dem Bischof oder den Klöstern und Stiften gehörten. Um das Jahr 1000 wurde auch erstmals ein jüdisches Viertel entdeckt. Das eng bebaute Areal umfasste Wohnhäuser, eine Synagoge und andere Gebäude der Gemeinde. Im 12. und 13. Jahrhundert erlebte die Stadt Regensburg ihre Blütezeit als Handelsmetropole. Das neue Selbstverständnis fand Ausdruck in einer regen Bautätigkeit und führte unter anderem zur Errichtung der Steinernen Brücke zwischen 1135 und 11.
World Heritage Site. UNESCO World Heritage Site. I find Coco. This is a model building. And this is what Regensburg was like back in the day when this was built.
This is in the museum. Wow. Regensburg.
So this was a city stone. Basically, this marked the edges of the city. There were a number of those stones, and each of them they basically were boundary stones. This is where thy city is. Anything on this side of the boundary stone is Regensburg. Anything on the other side of the boundary stone is not. So it was really cool that they had one in there. They had telescopes that you could look through. Um, More like the fantastic scopes where basically you see different scenes that are presented to you. This is some more shots from inside. You can see the Earth with different UNESCO sites noted on there. And you can see the wooden superstructure of this building. Just fantastic building. We were down in the bottom. We were really lucky to be able to get in there. This was not part of the Viking tour to see that. But we happened to be walked by in time and they were open, so we went in. And then this is our first night on board. We got to see some people wearing some traditional Lederhosen. The gentleman with the white shirt is wearing a deerskin outfit that had been passed down in his family. You don't wash those because they would fall apart. So they don't ever get washed, which is odd. They had some amazing pretzels on board the ship that night. Um, Really, really tasty. It was really nice dipping sauces for them. But just a gorgeous spread for the pretzels and the dinner that evening.
Kingdom. Let's have a round of applause for your wonderful restaurant team, your wait staff, and all those fantastic servers.
And this is the Viking ship. Chefs walking around. So let's see our chefs the first night. All right, some more pictures of the food from the evening as we were winding down the day, going towards day number 3. But before we get there, just some final pictures for the night. We did purchase for both of us the drink package so we could try all sorts of different drinks. I tried a bunch of drinks I'd never tried before, but I really liked their Paradise Garden. That was actually not an alcoholic drink, but it was very tasty. They also had ginger beer, which was non-alcoholic. That was quite good. Um, I do have pictures of all of their bar menus. So future broadcasts will have all those pictures so people can see everything that they had available drink-wise and their costs for the bar if you chose not to go the drink package. Some people said that they didn't think they got value out of the drink package, but I think we definitely did. Um, Over the course of the entire cruise, just being able to get whatever we wanted drink-wise was valuable to us, not having to worry about paying any extra for it. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. This is the first of probably 4 of them. It's like I'll need to do about 2 days worth at a time. I look forward to sharing some more of our vacation with you.